in my household, the internet, things like home food deliveries at the start of the pandemic, and, would you believe, robots. Well, yes, you may not have noticed them, but it seems that actually what we've been doing during the pandemic has been an opportunity for robots. It's something Molly Wood from our sister programme in the US, Marketplace, has been looking into.
Unquestionably, this is an industry that has seen a big boost, whether it's cleaning robots for industrial spaces or even the increased use of robotics in things like schools and learning. And I think we're realizing that there are and always have been jobs that robots can do that humans cannot. I spoke with Ayana Howard. She's a roboticist in Georgia at Georgia Tech and a professor, but she also is the chief technology officer of a company called ZyRobotics, which actually develops robotic products and interactive learning products for children with disabilities. So we spoke to her about the use of robots broadly and also in schools.
One of the things, if you think about human and people's relationship to robotics, it's been kind of a love-hate relationship. Like most people, they might buy a Roomba, for example, but a lot of no, I'm not doing that. Like robots, please no. But what we've seen now is there's this adoption of robots in the home, in the workplace, in the hospitals and clinics, because it fulfills a need that cannot be filled by people anymore.
And then what do you think that we'll start to see around robotics in education? I wonder what you see the role of tech and robotics playing in distance learning for those kids and maybe kids across the country.
So it's kind of this thing is like, you're excited, but you're not excited about the reason for it, right? But the excitement is that how do you integrate these tools in the home environment, which is, I won't say is an easier space, but it's much more of a adaptable, dynamic space, which we've been trying to do for years of how do you do, personalized learning in the home. But the need hasn't been great because the individuals who say could afford it would hire a human tutor. And now we have this need because we know that a kid that's a fifth grader logging in through Zoom to the classroom, it's not as effective as maybe for college age kids. But the robots can provide that. They can interact with the child. Because we have so many good systems that can understand eye gaze and attention, they can adapt. They can figure out based on how a child is interacting with the system, whether the kid is getting it or not. And so it really is personalized learning and tutoring. And so they do fill a need that we're sorely missing. And now the entire world sees that this is a need.
Is there a possibility, though, that they only fill the same need? They fill that need only for those families who could have otherwise afforded a tutor?
Typically, in the old days, before COVID time, I would say yes. But now there's so much of an emphasis and an effort to make sure that the world is accessible. A lot of people are impacted, which means that there's a lot of companies, there's a lot of startups, for example, that are trying to figure out, well, how do we lower the cost of that? And as you know, with supply and demand, the more individuals, the more kids that are using it, the lower the cost. So then it becomes how many kids do you know, at least in the US, have access to some type of phone device or a smartphone? It's pretty much that's pervasive now. Can we make that for robotics and AI?
So you think that cycle of innovation where, for early adopters, things are really expensive and then it gets cheaper. It sounds like you're saying that cycle could happen sort of like exponentially faster just because of necessity?
Yes, because of necessity. And that's what the pandemic is pushing. It'll be parents, it'll be school systems, it'll be governments that say, oh, yeah, we need to push this and we need to invest in it so that we can get it to that point where every child has access to the education that they need. Otherwise, the entire world will fall behind in terms of education.
Ayana Howard, a roboticist at Georgia Tech, speaking to Molly Wood from our sister programme, Marketplace. Listening to that, Colin Peacock from Radio New Zealand. Colin, I have to say that I'm not sure about robots in education in that way, but I am absolutely up for being convinced of this one.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, during the 5-week, lockdown that we had here in New Zealand, I think I had three kids, 2 at high school, 1 at primary school level, all at home doing their home learning and doing what Ayana was talking about, their classrooms all in on a Zoom meeting. And I mean, it was pretty variable when I looked over their shoulders. Not that was something they enjoyed me doing, but it all seemed to depend on the ability of the teacher to master this technology and talk to them. So if there was something that evened that out with using a bit of AI or whatever, then that would probably be good. And we know that there is, big digital divides. And, I think that could be particularly over a long period of time, that could really be quite important. But talking to, say, younger students who are at university in their first or second years who really missed out not being able to be on campus and talking to their tutors and lecturers and their peers, that I don't think any robot can really help with that.
No, it's a whole life experience. It's the whole of the social world that goes along with it as well.